order. We'll begin with the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Town administrator report, Bob?
Okay. First item, I had a meeting this past week with the manager of the Light and Water Department to discuss pilot payments. He conveyed to me that the commissioners would prefer to fund town projects as opposed to contributing funds, cash. And asked if we could proceed down that path. I said I would brief the Board of Selectmen, and if they're agreeable to that, then we'll come up with some projects that could be funded. And the reason they said that was, he said, they encounter people in the community who say, what have you done for the town lately? And they'd like to be able to say, well, we funded the sidewalk over there, or we did this, or we did that. So that's kind of where we ended up. So something to think about. We obviously don't face a deadline for fiscal 17 for quite some time, but that's the way it came out. I did talk to the highway superintendent today and say, can you come up with projects? He says, I absolutely can. So there may be other projects, cemetery and parks, other departments may have some projects that they could come up with that would be suitable, but that was the gist of the discussion.
I think it's a good beginning. I think that we have to flesh out some more details
Right.
there in terms of a formula for figuring the amount that's going to be devoted to these projects.
We did not settle on an amount, but I think there was an understanding that the town would come in high and perhaps they would come in a little lower, so.
It's called negotiation.
Yeah, right.
So, I don't know, anybody, Julie?
Sounds good.
Doug or Diane, anything you want to?
No, I mean, I'm fine with, as long as it's an equitable amount. I mean, doing projects is just as good as doing cash, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we're going to, it'll be a wash in terms of,
We certainly like the funding of the streetlights and the electricity for town buildings.
yeah,
That's a significant savings.
yeah. All right, well, we'll pursue that as we go along in the budget process.
Speaking of that, we have a period of time between now and when we start up with the warrant for the annual town meeting, when I have some time to spare, and in thinking about how I can use that time, came up with an idea that I thought I would bring to the board. The Government Finance Officers Association is a national organization of finance directors, town, city accountants, and so forth. There's a local chapter in Massachusetts. They have a section where they give recognition or awards to communities that they feel do an extraordinarily good job on municipal finances. One of those awards is this, the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. And here are the criteria. I gave you a copy of the criteria. It used to be that 6 communities in Massachusetts were able to receive this award. Now it's more like 20, because the big cities that have large budget staffs basically got the information together and submitted and were recipients of the award. There aren't many communities of this size with this kind of staffing that have done it. think the nearest is Northborough. What I gave you was the page that came out of the Cambridge budget. If you get the award, they give you that page that you can insert in your budget. The long and short of it is, what it means is that you put together in the budget document very extensive information about the community and its spending. And it's available to the public as well as certainly to the decision makers in the town government. As you can see, there's a very extensive list of items that are required. I've already started a little table of contents and thought I would just spend time when I have it available to try and put this together. Sometimes it takes a couple years to get it done. We started in a couple of places where I've been and didn't get it done, but I think it's feasible. And also, I think the importance of it for the town is that if we can accomplish something like that, it'll require an effort, not just my own, but also others in the organization. And that's kind of an antidote to the fiscal issues that have affected the town in the last few years. You can wave that and say, things have changed, look at this, you know. So I think it's a worthwhile goal. If you don't object to it, I'll put in an hour, maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours in the days that I'm here to, while I have this time available, and that would be until maybe we start up in March with certainly the activity surrounding the annual town meeting, warrant articles and so forth. I'll try and put the time in, see if we can get this done, and maybe get this kind of recognition. It is really, and it's considered, it's kind of an inside thing, but among those who will notice something like this are potential candidates to be permanent town administrator in town. Yeah, they know it. They would know this, they would notice it, it would be impressive, and in the long run, I think it would help the town to recruit quality candidates for the position. It'd be helpful.
Oh, I think Bob and I discussed this briefly last week. In looking over this page, these pages here, a lot of actually all of the things that they ask you to do are things that we should be doing.
We should be.
And it's
Exactly.
going to, I think, institutionalize good practices.
Yes.
So we don't end up where we were 2 years ago.
Right. These are best practices, what it boils down to, in municipal finance. So, apropos of that, I also handed out to you the Community Compact Cabinet Best Practices. There's a new round of DLTA funding that was announced this week. That's the District Local Technical Assistance Program. It's a state program with money that is funneled through the regional planning agencies. So the Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission has been given some money by the state, which they can then in turn fund projects in local communities that fit this best practices set of guidelines. And so one of the things we might want to do is try and get some professional assistance from them to help in a project like this, not only in terms of the budget, but also there's other projects related to municipal finance, again, best practices that, you know, we ought to be doing, and maybe even get some assistance for us. This is the program that we received funding for in the fall to finish the master plan for the town. So, and that's already underway. So there's another round, and I think it's worth a try. And I've given you copies of this so that you might want to suggest an area for us where we would apply, if you want to look that over. Also, Worcester County Selectmen's Association, we just received this. If you'd like to participate in their meetings, I think, you know, those kinds of meetings are very valuable. and we can pay the dues, and we'll be notified, and it's basically regional meetings that are held in the evening typically, and they have speakers and various types of informational programming. And here you are. So if you want us to join that. Also, Mass Municipal Association meetings next weekend. If you intend to go for 1 day or 2 days, it's Friday and Saturday of next week. Let Holly know so that we can make sure that you get signed up. It's very worthwhile. You know, you're taking time out of a Friday and a Saturday, but nevertheless, it's really worthwhile. Not only for their programming, but you get to meet other selectmen, for example. You get to, particularly from the region, get to talk over common issues. You learn as much informally as you learn in their programs. The governor's going to be speaking Friday, I think at 10 o'clock. We'll get to hear typically what he has on his mind for cities and towns. So give us a chance to head start on trying to get an accurate local aid number. We know he has a $1 billion deficit, but he has also said he's not going to take it out of the cities and towns. So we'll see how that comes out. So. The FSA program, flexible spending accounts, we're getting underway with that. We're going to have open enrollment starting soon. This is the program where you've set the ceiling of $1,000, where employees can set aside money pre-tax under Section 125 of the IRS code and use those funds for incidental and ancillary needs for health care, everything from prescriptions to co-pays and so forth. The town approved Section 125 something like 10 years ago, but it was not put into effect. So we're ready to go with it, and you know, it's tax-free. So I started contract negotiations today with Local 39 of the highway and sewer laborers. This is what they handed me. These are what they're requesting in the new contract. Their contract runs out June 30th of this year. So they're looking for another 3-year agreement. We had our first meeting. The Abrahams Group is making progress with our financial records, and we are optimistic that when the auditors come to town at the end of this month, we can present them with the financial records for fiscal 2013, and they can begin their auditing process. So it's taken more time than I had hoped, but nevertheless, it's happening. So also, number 4 Elm Street. If you've been out there, I'm sure you've seen it. The buildings have been leveled, the blacktop has been taken up. Property is ready for activity in the springtime to convert it into, you know, a conservation area or park area. And we had all agreed that we would look at another facility in Orange, and that we might go on a Saturday. So Holly will be trying to set that up, take a look at this model. Some of the decisions we have to make: do we want parking near the street or we want it to the rear? And just what will we like there, would like to do there. Certainly clearing brush to the river would be one consideration. There's some safety issues, some screening issues. As you know, we have a grant from the Community Preservation Committee that is funding the demolition work and the rather modest work that we'll be doing to convert that into a nice little vest pocket park in the middle of Baldwinville. Loaming, seating, maybe some benches, picnic tables maybe. So, but we need to have everybody on board in terms of a design. Also, I met with John Henshaw, Chair of the Community Preservation Committee, this morning about the future of Scout Hall. They have indicated that they would have an interest in providing funding to relocate that building if it is feasible. What he said to me this morning is that they would pay for a professional engineer to take a look at the property and to tell us whether or not the building is in sufficiently good structural order that it can be moved or relocated, and also to tell us what it would cost to do that and so forth. So I just said to Holly, actually, I don't know of anybody who can do this, who can give you that kind of estimate, so we're going to check around to see what firms might be able to provide advice there and give us a solid cost estimate, and if it's reasonable, because it has no commercial value where it is without any parking, we would talk to them more about maybe doing a relocation project. And then maybe treat it like we treat this building, incrementally, as years go by, make a few improvements here and there, so. I think that's all that I have. Yes, it is. So.
All right, so we have a set of minutes here from, what day was that?
December 21st.
Minutes from December 21st.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from Monday, December 21st, 2015.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any comments? You all set, Julie?
All set.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as written. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
I'll vote yes, that's unanimous. Job descriptions for the Selectmen's office.
I had sent you an email that I was not ready with that.
Okay, so then we'll
have
put
to
that
move it to
off
the
to a
next meeting.
future meeting.
Can I make a comment on that?
Sure.
Just because it's come up a couple of times. They were presented to the board in November and then again in December. So how much further do we plan to go out before we make a decision on those
Until I
particular
finish it.
jobs? Until you finish reviewing the ones that were submitted to us, or?
Yes. Yep, one is finished, one is not.
Because I'm reviewing, these appear finished to me, but.
No. No, I have other ones. I can send you one, but not the other.
Oh, okay. If you can send one of them, that'd be great. And so we'll review, and we're going to table this again until next month, or next meeting?
You can try for next meeting. I can let
Okay.
you know after
Great, thank you.
this week.
The last time we discussed them, I had some issues with it that I talked about then.
Right, and
And
I-
these are unchanged from then, so I'll still have the same issues now that I had then.
Well, yeah, let's try to get them all addressed
Yeah.
before we take it
Yep.
up. All right. Our next order of business is signatory for the school project, Bob?
Yes, the superintendent sent over the language that you have in front of you. And MSBA requests that the Board of Selectmen adopt that language,
Wait, it's not in here.
which will set out the process for the construction as well as signing significant documents related to construction.
To that end, I had a chat with Dr. Hemmon last week, and essentially he put down what I told him, that I would be willing to sign contracts, documents, whatever, but anything I sign has to be brought to the board for board approval, I mean, I don't think that, my personal feeling is that legally, I don't have the authority as chair to sign anything that you don't approve. So that's what I want to do. I feel comfortable doing that. I don't know how you all feel. Do you have any comments on that?
Comfortable approving something that the building committee doesn't?
See, I don't want
Can
to
you-
sign off on anything, a contract, which is an agreement between the town and a vendor or some other governmental agency, unless the board approves it first.
We talked about that
Yeah.
at the meeting.
Yeah.
And it's not really you personally, it's either the chairman, or it could be possibly the town administrator.
Right.
To, you know,
Yeah.
who signs
This is
other
an important-
things.
yeah, I would say
but
this is a
it's-
very important
yeah.
project, and I think it ought to be brought before the full board,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, in terms of
Have the chairman
transparency
sign
and
it,
getting
yeah.
the information out
Right.
there too,
Yeah.
I think it's important
Right.
Yeah.
that it comes here before there's any,
Agreed.
and it is a town project.
right.
Correct.
The town is borrowing the money, and we'll be
Right.
paying for it, so it's proper to come before the board, I think.
All right. So are we in agreement on that? Do you want to vote to accept this language?
Can I see that? I make a motion that any contracts that need to be signed for the Templeton Elementary School that are brought before the board after approval by the Templeton Elementary School Building Committee to be signed, voted on and signed by the chairman.
Second that.
Further discussion? Hearing none. Julie?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
I vote yes, that's unanimous. Now, the only other business we have before us tonight is things that need to be done in executive session, so is there anything else before we?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if anything was done about the tree at the Tucker House.
I have to plead.
Okay.
I got up there the other day and I didn't get a chance to talk to
Okay, I was just
people,
curious.
but I will follow up on it. All right, we will go into executive session and we will not reconvene in public session after the meeting, after our business is concluded. And we are going into executive session per Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21.3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining and litigation. An open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining and litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares, which I do declare. And per
Where's the chief?
MGL Section 30A, Section 21.2.
Where'd the chief go?
I'm sorry.
Say what?
I'm sorry, the chief walked out. He's going to be part of
Probably
this
taking a break
executive
while we're
session.
reading the law.
Yeah, well,
Oh, okay.
okay,
I just wanna
Section
make
22,
sure.
conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. Do we have a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Second.
All right. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
I vote yes, that is unanimous. We will take a brief recess